Well, let's hit record and rock and roll, and hopefully it clears up and it's not too awkward for you. Hopefully I'm frozen in like a really handsome way.
You're smiling.
That's good. That's a start. Beautiful. All right, let's rock and roll. Hello, and welcome to the Rock and Roll Podcast. I'm your host, John Harris, and today on the Rock and Roll Podcast, we have Fink of EARSHOT, who's going to be chatting with us today about the new single that they have got out, as well as what's going to be coming down the pipeline. So, Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, bud.
Absolutely great to have you on. Very excited because I had to think about it for a second, but what came across my desk was that Been a Long Time is the first original song from EARSHOT in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's almost crazy to think about.
It's a healthy chunk of time. Right. So I'm the new guy, so I don't know exactly the timelines of different things, but I know, I think they put out an EP, I don't know, 2015 or something. So the title of the new song, Been a Long Time, is quite fitting, I guess. It all makes sense.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, because there was the Atlantis Morissette cover, Uninvited, and I thought, okay, that's kind of fitting too, right? Like, I guess, we're going to release some music uninvited, I guess, and then we're going to release another one called Been a Long Time, which is the first original song.
Right.
So, I mean,
Go ahead.
Take us through that. Why an Atlantis Morissette cover of all the covers in the world?
Well, you're Canadian. You should be a fan of it, right?
I'm honored that you guys would cover Atlantis Morissette.
So we were, once we kind of had this new lineup of EARSHOT in place, we all kind of live in different states here, so it's a little bit hard to get together all in the same room. So we're trying to figure out what can we do to kind of get the ball rolling and get used to working with each other and get used to, how everything is the group dynamic, So we were like, let's just get a kind of a cover together to see, how it's all going to work. And then we'll put that out. And then while that's out, we'll start, writing together and working on stuff. So it was like a good segue thing. It was a good thing for the group internally to see how everybody's kind of, gears turn and all that good stuff. So, but in general too, I always liked that song. I guess the tune was my suggestion to the guys, and Will Martin, the singer, has a really good vocal range, and I could hear him nailing the high notes and all that good stuff. So I threw it out to him, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I dig it." So I thought that turned out well, and people seem to like it, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something else you mentioned there was, I guess, taking a step back. How did you get involved with the group?
Right. So I had toured with Will in my other band. EARSHOT and my other band did a couple shows together, and I had met him years and years ago, almost about 20 years ago, and we kind of hit it off at that time and hung out. I would go and watch his band play. So I was a fan of EARSHOT before I was in the band, which gives me a cool, a unique perspective, to see it as an outsider than to be an insider. But we always stayed in touch. We got along good back in the day. We hang out, toss a couple beers back, and we stayed in touch. And I guess he was still searching for the exact right lineup to relaunch the group. I'm not sure what was going on, but he gave me a buzz and was like, "Dude, you want to jam with me?" And I was like, "Sure, man." So here we are.
Yeah.
You're frozen, by the way, so the viewers, I'm looking at your smiling face kind of frozen in ice.
Well, you're doing well with a frozen picture of me. And
yes, I'm using my imagination.
Well, thank you so much. Cool. And so when you came in, because something you mentioned was trying to get a group dynamic going when you guys are in different states, and then obviously, with the pandemic, there's that going on as well.
Yeah, that's been difficult in that regard.
How have you guys made the whole thing work? Is it like a lot of Zoom chats? Is it like how does the whole thing work?
Well, it definitely wasn't Skype, because to do this interview, I had to download the damn app, and it was like it wasn't working. But no, it was a lot of email and phone calls. So most of the guys in the group have like a little home studio set up. I'm actually in my studio now, but so a lot of us, record our parts and then email them, and then you put them together. So it's not in my opinion, it's not the best way to make music. The best way to make music is all together in the same room, hashing it out, feeding off of one each other, saying that's cool or that's not, or let's, stirring it up. So it's a little bit weird via email. You have to kind of, like I'm doing with the frozen screen here, you have to kind of use your imagination and fill in the gaps. But we're all professionals, I guess, maybe on a good day. So in theory, it all should work. And I have tons of recording experience, and Will has tons of recording experience. So it's a bit of a learning curve. But yeah, the pandemic and then is like also putting a wrinkle in all that. Because I think by now we would have all got together either in Los Angeles or Florida or Pennsylvania and kind of made a thing all together in the same room, but that hasn't happened yet.
Do you feel then that, because it's been a long time, I listened to the track, great track. Do you feel that maybe it would have been better or different if you guys had been able to sit in the same room?
I don't know. That's a good question. That's like a what if, everything in life's like that. But I think we assembled it and we listened to it and it sounded legit. So it takes, letting you know how we made it kind of takes the sexiness out of it and the mystique. But, a lot of people are doing things this year, that's a little bit not the way it should be for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Now the track has been a long time. What is this track about?
Lyrically, I don't know. I didn't, Will Martin wrote the lyrics, so that's maybe a question for him. But I when I listen to it, I hear, themes of like isolation and loneliness and, maybe asking someone for help or forgiveness, maybe. I'm not sure. But, it's more of a question for him. But, everybody can listen to songs and take something different away from them. It's ambiguous enough that you could kind of make your own assumptions about stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's go with a question that you can answer, and that's going to kind of leave that kind of open to say, okay, well, what was your role in the track, and how did you make the track special or significant or unique?
Well, if I did, I played the guitars, and then Will and I co-produced it together. That was my flavor to the recipe. Wrote a couple parts here and there, but him and I kind of produced it and kind of assembled it and figured out and put it together. So that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mostly the guitar guy in this band so far.
Yeah. Beautiful. Why don't you take us through that sound? Because did Will want you to dial in a sound that was, I don't know, reminiscent of Earshot, or is he totally cool with just your sound?
No, I definitely have a sound, I think. Hopefully I do at this point. I'm not doing it right if I don't, but I have little signature things that I do, and But I mean, I've always been a kind of guy that I figure out what kind of like I figure out what kind of group I'm in and what it's supposed to be and what the goal is here. So I always try and keep my own personality and stuff. However, especially with a guitar, you can kind of turn the knobs to it. It's different than singing where you're kind of stuck with what God gave you, right? But when you're a guitar player or a drummer, you can kind of tune the stuff and use different equipment. So, I mean, I kind of, obviously I know what Earshot used to sound like. And so I kind of kept it in that lane and then just kind of added my own flavor to it. But most of the groups I do are session work or playing with other artists. I kind of figure out what their vision is and what it's supposed to sound like. And I kind of, almost like an actor, I guess, a little bit, like you figure out, okay, what's this movie supposed to be and kind of adapt into that situation. Mm-hmm. I don't like to just kind of like bulldoze my way into stuff. I like to, I've always been a song oriented guy. So I'm always like, what's best for the song? If it needs, a flashy guitar solo, I'll put it in. But if it doesn't need anything, I won't. You know what I mean? So like, I try not to stamp like, be a bull in a china shop. I try to, try to like go with the flow and make the song. I'm interested in the song winning. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Yeah.
It does make sense. I was actually speaking of guitars. You have a few on your wall there. Is that Ernie Ball Music Man? Is that what that is?
Yeah. Those are all Music Mans. Yep.
And then you got an amp, looks like off to your right. Why don't you take us through your gear? Is that what showed up on the record? There were the been a long time that we're listening to?
I don't know if I used those. Those are Randall's. I think I might have used. I usually either use these Randalls. Are you a guitar player?
Yes, I am.
Okay, right. So I have these old Randalls that you can unscrew the thing. This one says broken on it, so I guess I didn't use this one. But anyways, for the guitar nerds out there, they've probably seen these. You kind of they're like preamps with the tubes in, and you unscrew them. And those are cool. I don't know if they're still in production. They might have moved on to something else. But I always like those because I have a stack and I just kind of swap them out for whatever sounds good for the song. But a lot of times I use my Hughes and Kettner Triamp or my Hughes and Kettner Duotone. So those over the years, those are the main, like big, old school 100-watt guys that I usually turn to.
Okay. Very cool stuff. Cool. I was going to ask another question about the production team, because it says it was mixed and mastered by a couple of people in particular. Is that just guys that you guys know, or is there something in particular you were looking for from the mix and master on the tracks?
I think
Cedric and Rob.
Yeah, Cedric I have never worked with before this. I think that's a guy that Will knew. I think he's from Los Angeles. I never met him, but yeah, he did a good job. And then Rob, I think, mastered our Alanis Morissette song as well. So, and I think Rob Brill had mastered a bunch of Earshot stuff in the past. But yeah, those guys did a great job too, and kind of tied it all together. And yeah,
really tied the room together. Remind me of the Big Lebowski when you said that.
Oh, but yeah, the rug, right?
Really tied the room together, did it not? Speaking of tying the room together, something else that came across my desk was that there is more to come from Earshot. So what can you tell us about what's coming up or what we should expect from Earshot?
Yeah. Same thing. We've just been kind of, emailing song ideas back and forth and recording. And there's a couple songs that are in the can. And I think once we get them, mixed and mastered, we'll put them out in order. I think the idea is just to kind of do singles and rock a single out every 3 months or whatever the lifespan of things are these days. It's a little different than in the past where you'd work a song for like one song for 6 months, 9 months. But so yeah, there's stuff already done, and kind of just pacing ourselves. Okay. So yeah, there's exciting stuff. There's a lot of good tunes kicking around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, something I noticed is you've been in the industry, it looks like, for
too long.
How do you feel about Jaded?
Jaded prick. Yeah. I kind of quit my day job. I think around 1998 or 1999, somewhere in there. So I've been doing this. I feel very fortunate and blessed that I get to make music, as my lifestyle and career. So, on that front, I'm very thankful for that. Now the music business has taken a weird dip in the last couple of years. It's changed a lot, and the money's kind of dried up, and it's everybody and their cousin has a band, and you can kind of fire up your own stuff and throw it on the internet. So it's a little confusing. I think even as a fan of music, it's confusing because there's so much out there, and you're being bombarded with everybody's social media and stuff. So it's changed a lot in the last 20 years for sure. But I think the cream still rises to the top. I think a lot of the good stuff still finds its way to the surface, and so, but who knows?
Yeah, no, that's a really good way to put it. Because one of the things I was going to ask is something I've heard before is, especially musicians that started out, say 1998, 2000 was, you knew how to navigate your way through the music industry.
Yeah, totally. Right. So back then you would get like a record, you'd play shows, get a local audience, the formula was very, put your ducks in a row. You get a great band together. You play local shows, build an audience, a local audience, and then the A&R guy flies in and sees you in your home environment and sees the excitement of the crowd, and you get the deal. And then you go to the studio and you make the album. They put it out. You go to radio, yada yada yada. You sell CDs, and hopefully the whole thing takes off. But now it's like in a good way, it used to be one kind of way to do it. I guess for younger guys, there are other alternatives to that these days, which might make more sense to, a younger cat than they do to me. But I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But nobody buys the records anymore, so it's, in that regard, it's bizarre. And then people will always be like, "Well, when's the full length album coming?" I'm like, "Well, nobody's buying anything, so where would the money? Where's the money going to come from to make that?" You know what I mean? Like a proper full length record costs a lot of money to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one's going to buy it, there's that supply and demand scenario there doesn't make that much sense anymore.
Yeah, well, something that came to mind, because nowadays something that people are buying potentially is vinyl. Is there any conversations with Will about doing something on vinyl maybe?
There hasn't been yet. Again, I think we would need short of putting out a single, I think we would kind of have to wait till the full, there was whatever, 10 songs in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a conversation. Yeah.
Speaking of other conversations, I see a bookshelf, and I'm deeply curious, what books does Aaron Fink read in the studio?
I think I have a lot of my music type books down here. Let's see what's over here. Well, here's a very Canadian thing. I read this book. It's a beautiful book by Neil Peart called Ghost Rider. That's an excellent book. I recommend that one. What else did I read down here? I got Keith Richards' Life. That's a good one.
Yep, I got that one on my shelf.
That's an awesome book. A couple biography. I like the music biography stuff. What else do we got? We got Be the Coolest Dad on the Block.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm the coolest dad on the block, but I have read that book.
Did it help at all, Aaron?
That book?
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to ask my son.
Okay. Beautiful. Sweet. Well, Aaron, today we chatted about the track Been a Long Time. We've chatted about Uninvited, chatted about your guys' creative process. We've chatted about onboarding you and bringing you into the outfit and what's going to be coming up next. We chatted about even some of your gear. And I mean, Randall doesn't make that amp anymore, or that modular system anymore, right?
I don't think so. I liked them. I played them for a while. I like the, adaptability of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because before the days of plugins, you actually had to plug your amp.
Right, that's like an old school plugin. That's like a real plugin.
Yeah, it's a real plugin. Yeah. Okay, now that's all my questions that I have. Is there anything that you wanted to chat about, Aaron, before we disconnect?
Oh, man. That was pretty good. You summed it up. Yeah, just check out Earshot, and, we're on the social media and all that good stuff, and stay tuned and enjoy this song, and we got more coming, and hopefully we'll play some shows. We had a festival scheduled for April. I think it was in either Knoxville or Nashville, but that got postponed, so it kind of sucks, but hopefully,
baby. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the Rock Metal Podcast today, Aaron.
Awesome. Appreciate it, dude.